the vibe, the pride, the power. This is Charge. Hey, yo, Buffalo, you're gonna love this one, Sadna. Nah, I lived in a lab making this joint. Hours turned to days until it was perfect. Bill's Mafia in the house. It's the Queen City anthem, built on grit and grind. Buffalo style, yeah, one of a kind. Snow falling heavy, but the fire burns bright under them stadium lights. The Mafia ignites, we hold it down, loyal through the pain. Every snap, every hit, it's the charge we sustain. From the fans to the field, it's more than a game. It's a family, a legacy, remember the name.
Charge up the field, let the crowd take flight. Buffalo's heart, shining so bright. Feel the energy under stadium lights. Bill's Mafia strong, it's the charge tonight.
Yeah, we hold it down. In the 716. Let's go. From the tailgates lit to the thunderous sound, you can feel the passion when the Bills come around. It's a blue-collar love, built tough and true. From the heart of the city to the red, white, and blue, we bring that heat, even in the cold. With every drive, another story unfolds. It's Buffalo pride, yeah, the Mafia way. Under them lights, we making plays. You feel that? That's Buffalo pride. Every fan, every play, this city rides. We built this together. We'll never fall. Bill's Mafia forever. We answer the call. Through the highs and lows, we stay in the fight. Buffalo strong, yeah, the future is bright.
Charge up the field, let the crowd take flight. Buffalo's heart, shining so bright. Feel the energy under stadium lights. Bill's Mafia strong, it's the charge tonight.
Yeah, we hold it down. In the 716. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. From the tailgates lit to the thunderous sound, you can feel the passion when the Bills come around. It's a blue-collar love built tough and true. From the heart of the city to the red, white, and blue, we bring that heat, even in the cold. With every drive, another story unfolds. It's Buffalo pride, yeah, the Mafia way. Under them lights, we making plays. You feel that? That's Buffalo pride. Every fan, every play, this city rides. We built this together. We'll never fall. Bill's Mafia forever. We answer the call. Through the highs and lows, we stay in the fight. Buffalo strong, yeah, the future is bright.
Charge up the field, let the crowd take flight. Buffalo's heart, shining so bright. Feel the energy under stadium lights. Bill's Mafia strong, it's the charge tonight.
Hot on the mic, bringing it straight from Western New York to the world. This is Charge with Thomas and Sterling. Bill's Mafia, stand tall and proud. We got this.
Yo, what is up? It's the Charge Podcast right here on the Buffalo Media Network. I'm your boy Sterls, got my dog TD, and happy freaking free agency, happy early tampering period. The moves are moving, my friend. You got a high noon, so you know you feeling good over there. What's up, TD?
Just got out of work. I am ready to chop this up, man. We got some... Man, the money is flying today. I wish I was a little taller. I wish I was a little faster. I wish I was a little bit better because, man, the dollar bills that are coming at these gentlemen, I'm jealous.
Man, bags are getting big today, and it's the free agency frenzy has taken over. I mean, realistically though, this has been happening all freaking weekend. I mean, with all the players being released and the trades. So the movement's been happening. Now we're just at the place where free agents can sign wherever they please. And there's some mixed feelings out there. in the Bills nation, with Josh Palmer. I like the signing. It's not, I don't think it's going to be the last signing that they have at wide receiver. Maybe they get a draft pick there or whatever, but I think it's a move in the right direction. But before we get into any Buffalo Bills news, why don't we go ahead and talk about some of the signings thus far? And we'll keep it kind of Bills related too. Right off the gate, Arizona Cardinals took our boy Josh Sweat. He got the bag, man. And I'm a little sad about it, to be honest. I was hoping that the Bills would get Josh Sweat. I think a lot of the pass rush options that we thought were available have kind of dried up quickly, TD.
Yeah, there are some ones that went out pretty quickly early on into free agency. I mean, the one thing to keep in mind, and I tweeted this out a little bit ago, when it comes to free agency, generally speaking, the teams that spend at the beginning of free agency are bad teams or teams that are going to be bad. You don't win in free agency. And history tells you that. History repeats itself. So, Josh Sweat getting a good bag. 4 years, $76.4 million from the Arizona Cardinals. Definitely not surprising. He had a really good year, but again, he's 27 years old, hasn't had insane stats in terms of like what he's done throughout his career. He had 8 sacks last year. In terms of full, career stats, his best years, you're talking, he had 11 in 2022, 8 last year. You're paying for hope. You're paying that he can replicate and maybe grow on that past year. I like the deal. I don't know if I would have gone that crazy number wise for Josh Sweat. I think you can do better. I think I'd pay for potential in guys like Chase Young, potentially, being able to kind of grow beyond that and get a much better number. But if we're being fair, I think we're okay. I really do. It doesn't hurt me that much. It just would have been nice to see him in Buffalo. Sure.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we're okay.
Yeah. And Milton Williams to the Patriots, 4 years, $104 million. I mean,
Kid
that
got paid.
Listen, I mean, you're going to find this happens every season. Teams are going to overpay for players in production, right? And you're going to see a lot of that. 4 years, 104 million. I mean, that's 25 million, 26 million per. I mean, that is a hefty deal. I mean, you can't blame the Patriots. I think they know what they've gotten themselves into. I mean, the nice thing about it is they got a young quarterback that they can, hopefully build with in the future. But man, that is a big contract for an undersized defensive lineman. I'm not straight hating on Milton Williams, but I do think that's probably a little of an overpay. You still got guys like Javon Holland out there. There haven't heard any news on him. Osa Odighiwuzie with the Cowboys, he resigned. I mean, it's just, it's a flurry of moves here. Khalil Mack, right before free agency, re-signs with the Chargers, 1 year, $18 million. And, I know you think the Bills are just going to be okay. And they might have to take more of a cost-effective approach, but there still are guys out there that they can entertain. Dante Fowler, who we mentioned on the show, is one of those guys as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple options available out there. The nice thing is, and like I said, Brandon Beane's can be patient. He did get his guy in Josh Palmer, which was good. I like that. But the one thing when it comes to free agency is it's very much a wave of the different contracts come in, right? You're going to get that initial surge where dollar values are going to be at their absolute highest. I think what Brandon Beane wants is he wants to get that downslope where you're going to get guys that, that initial flurry is kind of over, but he's gonna be able to get somebody potentially for a better value, right? Which is great because when it comes to actually getting a contract, you want to make sure that you see that contract through, and a lot of these guys that they're signing today, they're probably not going to see the end of their contract beyond maybe a couple years. More often than not, these guys that they sign immediately flame out. So I think we're in a good spot right now. I think there's some awesome options still available out there. I'm not super concerned. I think we're doing okay, but the one thing I will say is you just kind of gotta be patient when it comes to this, because it's not as though the Bills have been sitting on their hands. They, one thing that we can talk about is they signed Khalil Shakir, Terrell Bernard, Josh Allen to a massive deal. Like They're doing okay. They've made some good moves. Let Brandon Bean cook, right? Like that whole of we trust our GM. Okay, if you trust him, let him work.
Are you a Bean After Dark guy?
I am a Bean After Dark guy. He's done some of his best work at this time. I think he's okay. I'm very, very confident. I know some people are not as confident in Brandon Bean. I'm not. I'm very, very confident in him. He has gotten us this far. This organization is one of the most steady organizations, consistently finding good success. You got to trust the guy to make the right moves. You got to trust the guy to do the right things. I think they're in a good spot right now. And like I said, there were people freaking out after an hour and a half, which, by the way, Elon Musk, get your shit together. Dude, literally one of the best days of the year of free agency, and your goddamn app isn't working. Holy shit, what a pain in the ass that was. The first hour and a half, people are freaking out. It's like, listen, take a breather. Everything's okay. We're okay. You know, there's still tons and tons and tons of players available out there. Really, really quality, free agents.
Yeah.
You don't have to freak out because the guy, a bunch of guys got signed initially. And like I said, some of these guys that got signed for terrible contracts that these teams are going to. I mean, Javon Kinlaw got signed 3 years, $45 million. What? I'm sorry. Yeah. What? The Jets just signed Brandon Stevens, one of the worst corners in the game last year, to a 3-year contract. Guys, don't worry. It'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, you got to throw Poona Ford in there too. 3-year, $29 million. I think that's a little much from my pocketbook there. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, you gotta chill. Like, I'll be honest. I'm a big Bean After Dark guy. Can't even lie. And I've been up since 2:30. Woke right up, just up.
Love it.
Start scrolling Twitter, just waiting, just chilling, just waiting. And nothing happened. I was just looking maybe Josh Sweat, maybe, a Trey Hendrickson or something like that, which he's still available. Right. But I don't know. I'm kind of having second thoughts on the whole Trey Hendrickson thing. We can kind of talk about that real quick. I mean, you see what these defensive ends are getting signed for. And I mean, you talk about getting out the Brinks truck. I mean, it's happening. You and I played around last week. We thought, okay, maybe Trey Hendrickson for a fifth, and because you're going to sign him to a contract. I think the compensation for him is probably a second or a third round pick just for the market itself. And then you got to pay him, right? He led the league in sacks. So how are you going to negotiate? Like, you're going to say, okay, well, you're not Myles Garrett, but you have more production than Myles Garrett, so we're going to bring you in at 35 per season.
Right.
That's a little too steep, man. I ain't going to lie. What's your thoughts on it?
I love Trey Hendrickson. 17 and a half sacks over the last 2 years. Production personified. He's a grinder. He loves Cincinnati, so I think he really wants to stay there. But I think the writing's on the wall. If we're being fair, I would love it. I mean, if we're being fair, that's him opposite of Greg Rousseau would be dangerous. Right. And then you go ahead and get a defensive tackle in the first round. I think you're doing really good. I think you're in a great spot. My thing is, do I think a second round pick from Brandon Bean is going to outperform a guy like Trey Hendrickson, who's only 30? We were talking about, just recently with Myles Garrett, and that dream died, and God bless him. Jesus Christ, getting all that money. But we were just talking about him, and he's 29 years old, right? And we're saying, like, well, pass rushers really age well. Trey Hendrickson's done fine. He hasn't missed a lot of time. They age really well. He's going to be okay. And here's the crazy part about it is he had 17 and a half sacks on a atrocious Bengals defense. So imagine what he could do on a good Bills defense, right? Like that's becoming better. That's changing philosophies. That's more man coverage. I think going after a guy like him paired with Greg Rousseau on a defensive line that's going to become better, on a secondary that should become better. I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Charvarius Ward signs with the Bills. I think there's some names out there still in the weeds, which I think will fit. Our safety situation is going to get better. I think there's some good names out there. I think it's a good fit. He fits the culture. He's perfect for Buffalo. And I don't, second round pick, you got two of them. Like, known commodity. The Bills, like, here's the thing. I know people want, like, build for the future. I want to win now, right? Like, how much of the build for the future is fine, but at a certain point, you got to start hitting while the iron's hot. And, like, this team is a Super Bowl contender. Just go get dudes that'll help you win a Super Bowl. You know, and in 2 years, 3 years, if we have to retool a little bit and go more short term, more, rookies and, younger guys to backfill the roster, let's do that then. But as of right now, I'm not here for projects. I'm not here to wait to see if a guy can, flourish or blossom into some great talent in a couple of years. I don't want that. I want now. I want to win now.
You done?
I'm done. God damn it.
No, man. Listen, I at one point subscribed to that train of thought, but I'm okay with building through the draft, man. Like, I love Trey Henderson. I mean, what Lou Anarumo did with that team and that defense. Now, last year was a different story, but when they had BJ Hill and those guys, up front, I mean, that defense was solid,
Right.
And if you can, I know people are kind of frustrated with not the Greg Rousseau, Boogie Basham back-to-back pick, right? If you could do that again this season in the draft, bro, I just think it's I think it's the way to go. What's up? Silvanoshi? Happy free agent day to you too, man. I just think that's what you got to do. And here's the thing: I think what's probably holding all that up is the fact that you have a top 5 cornerback in Christian Benford that you're gonna have to pay. And if Christian Benford was maybe 2 years from an extension or somewhat, I think we'd have a different story. You can kind of just go for it. But the fact that you're going to have to pay him big bucks, I mean, we just saw a cornerback get paid a shit ton of money. So I just think that, you're going to have to build through the draft. You can't have a premium player at a premium position and a market setting value everywhere. So we're just going to have to be patient, and we're just going to have to really put our trust in the personnel department to really find the best fits for this team moving forward. So if we're talking about fits, let's talk about Josh Palmer. Yeah. Josh Palmer is a wide receiver who is now a Buffalo Bill. He is the first domino to fall for Brandon Beane in the 2025 season. And he's coming University of Tennessee, San Diego Charger, LA Charger, however you want. I still call them San Diego Chargers because I'm an old head. But, you've seen the film. I've seen the film. I mean, he's a route runner. He is a route runner.
He's a separator.
Yeah, he can run every route in the tree, right? You need that, right? I don't know what his role's going to be. I mean, and we don't really know the numbers, right? Obviously, we saw the numbers online, but we don't know like what that looks like yet because it could be very incentive based or whatever. So before, people out there, if you're watching and you saw the Josh Palmer signing, don't get caught up with the numbers right now. Wait until everything settles down and comes out, and then you can kind of see where he lines up. But I like the pick. I like it. It's not. It can't just be Josh Palmer and then running back with everybody else. You're gonna have to go and get somebody else. So, thoughts on Josh Palmer? Maybe he's not the burner that we needed, but he's definitely a route winner that we need.
Well, I think the nice thing about this offense, the whole measure of this is a group by committee, right? Like it's everybody eats. That's been the whole ideology. And I think that's great. You want to find guys that can win. And I think winning in your routes, winning when it's press coverage, winning when it's zone, you want guys that can win. And I think the problem is we just had too many guys this past year that couldn't win. And that's been the case for a number of years, right? So if you have a guy, and Josh Palmer can not only play in the slot, so you have versatility there, but you have a guy that can stretch the field. He has good speed. He has the ability to beat man coverage. He has an arsenal of releases that he can use to get himself free to create that leverage downfield. And if you can get outside leverage, you're doing great, because then what happens? You're going to open up the entire side of the field for everybody else. You're going to make things so much easier. So I think that the Bills are in a good position of bringing in a speedster. You needed somebody opposite of Keon Coleman that can kind of complement that style, that body catcher. This is a guy that's going to be able to pull the safeties back, kind of that guy that we talked about, when we were kind of going through different ideas of who can push the ball down the field. That's what you're going to get with Josh Palmer. So that's big. And the other side about it is, I think you're just seeing an upward trajectory. Brandon Beane likes to kind of bet on winners, but bet on guys that have upward trajectories, right? You don't want to hit the guy that's plateaued already. Josh Palmer has shown that he is going the right direction, and you give him a quarterback, like, no offense to Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, I know for a while they were talked about in the same breath. They're not. They're really not. Josh Allen is significantly better than Justin Herbert at this point. He's proven it time and again. Josh has, the chutzpah to be in the big moments. Herbert doesn't. I think you have Josh Palmer with, Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel and Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox and James Cook. That's such a good mix of talent that can create in different levels of the field. I think they're in a really good spot with him. And again, it's 3 for 36 with 18 up front. So the number is probably going to come in between 7 and 9 per year. That's a great number for a guy that's going to be an instant contributor for this offense.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about separation percentage. I think he was top 10 in the league. He has very reliable hands. And like you said, he's gonna open up the offense quite a bit, I think. And where it's going to manifest itself is probably on third down, where, obviously he's an outside receiver, but I mean, you want a guy that can do those digs and those, shoulder fades and stuff like that, and can just win, right? Think of Josh Palmer as what in a light version of what they thought they were getting in Amari Cooper, right?
Yes.
A guy who's going to garner a little bit of attention on the outside. Right. And so that's what he is. And if you've watched the tape, I mean, Josh Palmer made plays. Now, his numbers weren't gaudy. And I think a lot of that has to do with, they're a new offense this year, and he's a young player. He's 25 years old. I mean, the fact that they went and got a very young option, that somebody that they can kind of grow with, I think it's a great move. We're not talking about a 29, 30, 31-year-old wide receiver. Now, DK Metcalf would have been phenomenal, but do you want to pay him $130 million? I mean, some do, some don't, right? And so it's kind of this thing where I think a lot of us have this idea, like, Brandon Beane, do something. You see the meme where they're sticking the piece of wood in the logo saying do something. And like you mentioned earlier, you just got to be patient, man. You got to be patient. This roster is nowhere near complete. There's always a move to be made, a guy to be signed. Right now, though, great move for, Brandon Beane on the offense side of the ball. I think it's time, though. They got to start doing something on the defensive side. I mean, we've talked about it on our show ad nauseum. Cornerback. Yep. I would really like to see some depth at safety. Hell, even a starter, if you would. I mean, I know that they really like, Taylor Rapp and Bishop, but man, I think you can get an upgrade there to where, maybe Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp are fighting for, safety number 3. Like, I mean, there's moves to be made. I understand
there's some good guys out there too. I mean, you got Charvarius Ward, Jonathan Jones, Byron Murphy is still out there. Jeff Okuda, if you want to kick the tires on him. Kendall Fuller, who's in Miami last year. There's a bunch of options. You want to maybe bring in Stephon Gilmore. I think he still has some meat left on the bone. I don't know if he'd come back to Buffalo, but certainly an option. There is some guys out there that they can absolutely just slot in that I think would be an impact player.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm. Are you optimistic? Are you hopeful right now? Because I mean, you look on the Twitter sphere, on the X.
A lot more optimistic than half the Bills fans right now.
Oh my God, it's like gloom and doom, man. It's like, come on, y'all gotta chill out a little bit. Those of you in the comments, God Sizzle, nice addition. Does that mean Cooper ain't coming back? It depends on what that number is. I think if you can get Amari Cooper in a less than 10 million, like a $7-8 million contract on a 1 year or 2 year kind of deal, I think that would be a very fair compensation for him. TD, what are your thoughts on Amari Cooper?
I think that ship is sailed. Some of the numbers on him, the advanced analytics were pretty bad. He was having a real hard time creating any separation, winning off of the line. I just, unless you're talking about a really, really team-friendly deal, and if he's a guy that has never seen free agency, so I don't know what he's expecting. He's made a good money, so maybe he doesn't care, and maybe he just wants to play in a good team.
Right.
But I don't know. You'd be talking probably more of a pitch count with him at this point, right? At his age,
right?
He's not going to see a heavy percentage. I just think I think you can do better. And if we're talking like right now, the wide receivers that are available still on the market, outside of the top ones are Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks an interesting option, albeit 31 years old. He's probably going to get a pretty penny. But there's some good guys out there. It just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for, like a speedster, there's a few out there that you can go after. Like, Demarcus Robinson, who's 30 years old. I didn't even realize he was that old at this point. There's some options, but the thing about it is, I would rather at this point, use a draft pick to go after a wide receiver. I think you've got a good group far in-house, instead of going after one of these guys and probably paying far too much for somebody that's not going to give you what you're looking for. Like, if I'm going to get somebody on the free agency market, I'm going to go after somebody that's going to help the defense right now and then fill in the rest to make the draft as easy as possible, right? Like, you want to go into the draft where Brandon Beane can go best player available. You don't want Brandon Beane going in trying to fit a square hole or a square peg into a circle hole. Like, that's just right. That's just a bad scenario overall. So, Adam, I agree on Cooper. I'm glad they kicked the tires on him last year, but he didn't seem to still have what he had. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's fair. Same thing RJ said, I think there's better scenarios than bringing in a guy. And I give him all the props. I think Amari was awesome when he was here. He was super, super good dude, but like, I don't need to reestablish a connection with him. I don't need to kick the tires on him again. Let's get younger. Let's find some guys that are going to be here for the long haul, because he's not.
Yeah. So let's talk about some guys that the Bills could take a look at, and we'll start on the defensive side of the ball. I think you add names that come to mind, but Javon Holland seems to be a polarizing player that has had a lot of talks from Bills Mafia about wanting to get him, myself included. Don't know what that number is going to be, but we do know sometimes that safety market is that those numbers come in very low. And, when you look at Javon Holland and the things that he requested in an interview a couple weeks ago, I think the Bills kind of fit the bill there. No pun intended. Travarius Ward, who you and I've talked about, would be a solid option. He's 28 years old, so you still can get some production out of him for the, sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal, with the third year being a void year. You talk about a guy who has tons of playoff experience and is a gamer, and he's very similar to Christian Benford in terms of profile. They are very similar in how they play. So I think Travarius Ward would be a really solid option. And then obviously I think an underrated defensive lineman, edge player that I think that I wouldn't mind having. Let's see. It was for the Giants, Azeez Ojulari from University of Georgia. I'd like him to come in. He's a very quick, twitchy, bendy pass rusher he's only 24, 25 years old, still has a lot of upside. I think that's a name that you can kind of keep an eye on. And then obviously Dante Fowler. You can miss me on the guy, Chase Young. I mean, even though he's 25 years old, obviously you see a theme here. I'm kind of looking for younger, cheaper, with upside. But those are some kind of names that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I got to add, and I think a name that, man, it would be sneaky good to have him come into Buffalo is Justin Reed. He's been terrific for the Chiefs for a number of years. I think he presents leadership that the Bills could use in the secondary as a safety. You can play him all over the place. He's super, super heady as a player. I'm surprised they let him go. If we're being fair, I understand that they've got younger options.
Right.
It still is quite surprising. I think he would be terrific in this defense. Again, I like Travarius Ward. I think both of them would be awesome additions into the secondary. If you're looking for more of a less expensive option, I think Ashton Davis was really good with the Jets a couple of years ago. I'd like to see him. I think he could step in really, really easily. Quandre Diggs still was very effective for the Titans last year. I think he would be really, really good for the Bills. And then the one I think is, surprising, I think did really well for the Giants last year is Adoree Jackson. Not these guys are not going to cost you a ton of money, but I think, bring him into camp, let him compete, and you see who can, I hate to use that old adage, but the cream rising to the top.
Sure.
Side note for everybody watching right now, make sure you hit that thumbs up. It really means the world to us. It gets us in the algorithm, lets people know that we're live. And if you are liking this, make sure you subscribe to the channel and go ahead and share this. If you're on Twitter, go ahead and tell people, get in here, come watch it, tweet this out. It means the world to all of us. Truly, truly, truly. We're trying to build this channel up. Sterling and I are putting in a ton of work right now. So all the support and all the free advertising we could get means the world to us. So
Appreciate it. All right. So offensively, there's a cornerback or two that I wouldn't mind. Christian Fulton. I think, Christian Fulton plus a draft pick, right? You kind of want to hedge your bet there. I think Christian Fulton, I've really liked him since he was with the Tennessee Titans. Now he was with the Chargers last year. I think he gives you some speed at the position. Your defense definitely needs speed overall. I mean, shit. I mean, it's not fast enough. And then Asante Samuel Jr. Now, he's spotty. He's had some good production, but I think, when you watch the film on him, it's very inconsistent tape. But I think in a zone scheme where you're going to play a little bit more man, kind of mix it up a little bit. He's an experienced player. I'd take a look at him. So there's some guys out there on the defensive side that we could look at. Offensively, I don't know, man. Like you still need to look at wide receiver if you're up, Diami Brown. I don't know if he signed somewhere yet. Not sure. But you
Diami Brown did sign. Yep, he is off the board.
Okay. So I guess we're stuck with like Darius Slayton. I'm looking for speed here. So Darius Slayton would be a nice speed option there. The problem with him is, although the production's good, it's just the injuries keeping him on the field, right? 28 years old. So he's
actually not. You're thinking about Sterling Shepard. Darius is actually been pretty healthy.
Oh, he is? Really?
Yeah, Darius has been pretty healthy. It's Sterling Shepard that's been the injured one.
Okay. My apologies. So yeah, I think they need to look at some speed options here. I know last season, I believe he had like 573 yards, and with a quarterback that's just their quarterback situation, Daniel Jones, and then they got Danny DeVito, and then they were trying to figure it out with a couple of other guys, and it's just a hot mess. So yeah, go get some speed and kind of figure it out. Let's see, who else can we
if you're talking about options in terms of the offense, it depends on what they do in running back room. I don't know. I would assume that I would hope that they bring back Ty Johnson. There's a ton of options, and that's what's going to make the running back. I think they're going to wait, is that the options on the running back market are plentiful. Yeah. So I think getting Ty Johnson, like everyone's like, oh, you might have to pay a bit. There's so many guys, many. I mean, I'm gonna read off this list of names to you, just so you can tell how ridiculous this free agent market is. Raheem Mostert, Jamal Williams, Najee Harris, Gus Edwards, Jeff Wilson, AJ Dillon, Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams, Alex Madison, Nyheim Hines, Amir Abdullah, J.K. Dobbins, Chase Edmonds, JaMychal Hasty, Ty Johnson, Rico Dowdle, Kareem Hunt, Cam Akers. I mean, those are starters. Those are guys that have legitimate played big time. And here's the crazy thing. They're not old. Most of these guys are like 27, 26, 28. I mean, a lot of runway left, but I think you can get a good running back, plus the running back class this year, and the draft is insane. So I feel like a bunch of these guys probably their careers might be close to over, which is sad to say. I think the nice thing is, and I said this earlier, Sturls, I think waiting is the way to go. Yeah, I think you're able to get some seriously good value down the road.
Yeah, you probably need to. I mean, we've talked about it, but this year's incoming running back class is loaded with guys. So I don't see running backs getting off the board, the free agency board, and probably till May, June, kind of near training camp, to be honest. I mean, those are some nice names on the board. I mean, I think, if anything, the Bills need to find someone who can pass block consistently. I don't think you need to go in there. I mean, Ty Johnson, obviously, but he's not on the squad right now. So, I mean, the cool thing about this whole thing is, one, Josh Allen winning MVP, getting to the AFC Championship game. You're going to have guys who are going to be willing to take a little less money to come play for a contender. That's the off rip. That's the coolest part about this whole thing. And the fact that, we see this front office spending big money on their own players, that to me, I think that bodes well. I think that says a lot about this organization, and it says a lot to the players who are in the free agency pool. Baron Browning is another name too. I forgot to mention that would be a really nice addition as an edge player.
He re-signed with the Cardinals as well.
Oh my God! Stop signing. Stop getting paid. Oh shit. I don't know,
Side
man.
note, I just want to say real quick, just to check in the chat. Levi Shelley mentioned, does the JC Horn contract hurt any future signings? That is a big number. Obviously, he jumped to being the number one signed corner in the NFL. He leapfrogged Patrick Surtain. That is certainly going to make it more difficult, not more difficult, but the number for Christian Benford is going to be adjusted a little bit. I will say, I do wonder if Christian Benford's concussion history, if his injury history is causing them to be a little bit more apprehensive about signing him. I figured he would have been the first or one of the first guys signed. So the fact that he's unsigned yet is interesting to me. I wonder if they want him to play out this year and then go from there. But yes, that absolutely is going to play a role in terms of kind of where they at. Adam, I'd be happy if we stabilize the cornerback and safety rooms and free agency and go D-line in the draft. I think that's a good way to do it. There's some good number or some good options, like I said, but there's also some good options in the draft. Some really good corners, really good safeties that we've talked about, whether it's Malik, whether it's Nick Imanwari, Xavier Watts, really good safeties. There's good defensive backs in the draft. There's good defensive linemen. This can be a really, really good defensive first draft. So I think you go either way, mix and match. I think there's some really, really good options.
Oh man, we need a Bill signing. I need another one.
Yeah.
I need Travarius Ward. Give me that one.
I like that. Yeah, there's some definitely good options. So we didn't talk about this, and I'm going to go quickly go around the horn real quick. For anybody that's watching that hasn't really seen the signings that have happened just yet, I'm going to go down, just name some of the big ones that have happened today. Milton Williams, defensive tackle from the Philadelphia Eagles. He was kind of a rotational piece, obviously because they have Jalen Carter and, you know, the mix of very, very talented guys there. He signed with the New England Patriots, who have a bevy of money, 4 years, $104 million, $63 million guaranteed. Sam Darnold, now the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, 3 years, $100.5 million, $55 million guaranteed. Couple tackles that went early today. Dan Moore signed with the Tennessee Titans. You had Drew Dahlman, center, signed with the Chicago Bears. Patrick McCarry, who was with the Baltimore Ravens, signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then a bunch of corners have signed. Carlton Davis signed with the New England Patriots. Paulson Adebo with the New York Giants. Nate Hobbs with the Green Bay Packers. DJ Reed, a name I know Sturls and myself have talked about, very interested. He signed with the Detroit Lions. That defense getting better, so they should be fun to watch. And then Brandon Stevens, like I mentioned, a really bad quarter for the Baltimore Ravens. Couldn't be happier signing with the New York Jets, make that defense suck even more than it already does. And then, man, talk about defensive line. Lots of guys being signed today. Milton Williams, obviously, we talked about Deo Abedango signing with the Chicago Bears because they got so much money. They're just literally spraying it all over the place. Javon Kinlaw, a terrible contract, going to the Washington Commanders. God bless him. Harold Landry, defensive end, outside linebacker, signing with New England. And again, Grady Jarrett. We talked about this before we went live. Grady Jarrett cut by the Falcons in the same day he signs with the Chicago Bears. Man, the money is flowing in free agency. Some really, really interesting options out there. But man, so far today, there's been over 50 signings. Over 50 signings. It has been a very, very active first day for legal tampering.
Man, if you're Adam Schefter, I mean, how many phones?
The Panthers. There's another one.
There's another one. I mean, your phone has to be just bonkers right now. I mean, that man has to have at least 4 phones. He's got to have 4 phones, dude. Levi Onwuzurike, defensive lineman for the formerly of the Detroit Lions, is still available. You talk about a guy that plays defensive tackle, 3 technique. I mean, I'd love them to kick the tires on him. I mean, there's as to our point earlier. I mean, there's guys available the Bills are just going to have to wait it out, and for everybody who's not very familiar with the free agency process, it goes in waves. So, you have day
Certainly.
1 and day 2, day 3. That's kind of the first week is kind of wave 1. And then, you kind of go through your waves, and the money kind of goes down as you go through those waves. Brandon Beane has never really been a wave 1 free agency guy. He kind of does his business wave 2 and wave 3. By the draft, we should see more of a healthy Bills roster, not all the way complete, but just a little bit healthier in terms of the perceived needs that they're going to have going into the draft. They like to kind of shore those up so that when they do draft, that they can kind of look at best player available. So we're sitting here with Josh Palmer as our only signing, TD. I need a little something to happen, dog.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is, like I said, they have made some signings before. Obviously, they're not external, but the fact that, the Bills went ahead and outside of signing, Josh Palmer, they also went ahead and they made some healthy signings to their own roster, made Josh Allen, ripped up his contract and made it a 6-year deal where he's going to be with the team till 2030. Still the 13th highest paid percentage quarterback in the NFL. Terrific, a good deal for both sides. It's probably going to open up a good amount of cap space for this year. Terrell Bernard signed early to a really team-friendly deal. Khalil Shakir, again, signed to a really team-friendly deal. Greg Rousseau, again, signed to a really team-friendly deal. Reed Ferguson signed an extension, which makes him the highest-paid long snapper, and pretty much just solidifies that he's going to retire a Buffalo Bill and only ever wear one jersey. They've done some really good things. And you know what? Again, when it comes to free agency, taking care of your own, and I tweeted this out, is a good way of telling other free agents, you come here, you do well, you play,
you're going to get paid.
You're going to get paid. And that's great because you know what? That's what you want to do. You want to set a precedent that players know, because how many franchises go ahead, they sign a deal, and a year later, 2 years later, cut the player, he's gone.
Right.
You don't want that. You want guys to know that they come here, they reach their highest potential, they're going to see pay dirt. And that's what's happened thus far.
I got an idea. You ready for this?
Certainly.
All right. So those of you who are in the chat, okay, now this is a this week deal that I'm going to make, that me and TD are going to make. I am willing to buy a Josh Allen jersey for the person who guesses the next Bill signing. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay. You have to make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to me and TD on X if you can. And then you have to guess the next Bill signing. Okay. This week, not next week, this week. So whoever guesses the Bills next signing this week, we will throw your name, or you might be only one person, but we'll throw your name in a little hat. And our next show next week, we will pick a winner, and that winner will get a Bills Josh Allen jersey straight from the NFL shop. Nothing from China. We're not doing no bootleg stuff. Courtesy of the Charge Podcast and Buffalo Media Network. So that is the challenge, TD. I think that's pretty dope. Huh?
Absolutely. Let's see. I'm going to tweet this out to see if I can get some people to come in to get into this stuff.
Let's go.
Hold on 1 second. So go ahead and give the people some more fun stuff.
All right. So as he's doing that, I think I'm going to guess the next Bill signing. Okay.
Ooh, I like it.
I'm thinking of a player. I'm going to stay on the defensive side of the ball. As you can see, I'm on a defensive theme since the Bills have not signed anyone on the defensive side yet. I think the Bills are going to sign Travarius Ward. I think he is a this week kind of signing. He's not the biggest name, but I think he's right under, big names, but impactful players. I think we should see a Travarius. So if I had to guess, you get one guess, Mark, one guess. I'm going to go with Travarius Ward on this one. That's what I think the Bills are going to sign next.
Okay. I like it. I like that
it's
guess
hopeful,
right there.
And if you can't be, obviously you can't be somebody that's currently on our team. Okay. But I love Travarius Ward, man. He'd be great.
Yeah, I think Travarius Ward would be a terrific addition. I think he needs to change his scenery, obviously, with what happened to his daughter, and getting away from the Bay probably would help him
Yeah, for sure.
clear his mind and help him move forward with his life. And a good place like Buffalo, that's all about culture and family, I think is a great place for him to really build himself back up into the guy that I think, whether he was in Kansas City, whether he was in San Francisco, he's been a good corner almost everywhere he's gone. So I think that's a great spot for him. I'm gonna say. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to say the Bills signed Justin Reed. I think they're going to
Okay.
sign a
All
guy
right.
from Kansas City, a guy that's an instant impact player. And you can only get one guess. Oh, you just had that, Mark. I'm sorry. Sterl's already covered that. Yeah, I'm going to say he's going to be a guy that's going to impact this team, give some secrets about Kansas City, but also be an incredible asset to that secondary.
You talk about a scheme fit. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
Bills and the Chiefs have similar concepts defensively. I think he's a guy that could fit right into this defense. We signed a guy this past free agency. What was his name? Who didn't see the field? Safety. I can't remember his name
Oh,
now.
you're talking about Mike Edwards.
Mike Edwards, yeah, very similar in terms of a guy that understands the scheme and says he thought he was going to come in and be a starter. Things didn't work out, Bills had other plans, and he kind of laughed himself out of a job in the league, to be honest. I mean, he got signed but didn't go anywhere else. But Justin Reed is a much better player. I think one of the things that I like about him is his range. He's a very rangy safety, so he could play that deep half, and he can come up and play support in the box. So I would love that kind of signing. So you guys tell us who you think will be the Bills' next signing. You could leave it in the comments here because those are timestamped, or you can do it on X. TD put up a post, I'm sure, or will put up a post. We would love to interact with you, so make sure you do so. As far as what's going on with us this week, I'm going to jump on here tomorrow if there's another signing. And then TD and I will be on Thursday night. So make sure that you guys are locked and loaded here. And then, if there's a Trey Hendrickson trade tonight, then we'll jump right on. I mean, I'm gonna, we kind of talked behind the scenes. We're gonna make ourselves available this week if there's a big bill signing. So make sure that you guys keep it locked and loaded here. Thank you guys for tuning in with us, man. I mean, I know this is like it's 3:15 where I live. I know those of you guys who are on the East Coast, it's 5:15, almost time for dinner, whenever you guys eat. But enjoy the freaking sun out there. It's sunny out here in Colorado. Go touch some grass. Go chill. Go hang out. It's Monday. We had the weekend blues. TD, what you got anything else for us, man?
Nah, man, I'm excited. This is a good time of year. The NFL season never really stops, and I think that some good stuff should be coming. I think Bean After Dark is going to start kicking off soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get more stuff later tonight, maybe into tomorrow morning. And be excited, Bills fans. Should be a lot of fun. I mean, if you have any questions, if you guys ever want to chat, feel free. You could shoot me a DM. You could shoot me a tweet. I'm pretty interactive, as you guys see. But again, appreciate you guys and all your support so far with our show. And we will see you probably tomorrow, and then again on Thursday for the start of free agency.
That'll be all for us right here on the Charge Podcast. And we love you, and we say go Bills, and we out of here.
Go Bills.
Hot on the mic, bringing it straight from Western New York to the world. This is Charge with Thomas and Sterling. Bills Mafia, stand tall and proud. We got this.